on Science for the Kids. Richard Feynman has been described as a great physicist and teacher extraordinary, the most original mind of his generation. The charismatic teacher did pave the way for a scientific revolution in the United States. Here, we try to look into his mind and unravel the theme, science education. When someone says, science teaches such and such a thing, Feynman says, you are incorrect. How can science teach you something? No, it is the experiment that teaches you. It is those observations that teach you facts about nature. Again, while following procedures, do not follow blindly a form, he advises. Science should embrace rational thinking. One often gets positive results by doubting the science lesson, he laments. Following anecdotes can help us understand. A great influence was his father. He used to take young Richard through the woods and listen to the chirping of the birds. Then the father-son duo would see the birds through the binoculars. The father would explain, "Notice that the bird is always pecking in its feathers? It pecks a lot of these feathers. Why do you think it pecks in its feathers?" Richard replies, "I guess because the feathers are ruffled and it is trying to straighten them out." Dad asks him, "Okay, when would the feathers get ruffled?" Richard says, "When it flies." Dad says, "If that is right, then it should do it a lot when it has just landed compared to when it has just been walking. Let's look again." They observe. Feynman writes about this. As it turned out, the bird pecked about as much and as often no matter how long it was walking, and not just directly after flight. So, his father allowed him to make mistakes and would then reveal that the birds have lice due to the wax in the bird's joints. This kind of observation in free form is marvelous, says Feynman. Suppose we are trying to make a list of observations and then come prepared for an examination about these observations. Then we are not learning science, we are only memorizing, says Feynman. He has another anecdote. A 6th grade science book has a picture of a dog and then a toy dog that is windable. And then there is a hand coming near the window. Under the last pic there is a question, what makes it move? And then there is a picture of a motorbike. Again the same question, what makes it move? The teacher's manual says, energy makes it move. Feynman feels, this way we are making things complicated. The energy idea is quite subtle and should not be thrust upon the child at the first instance. Just think what a common man would answer. He would of course say that the wound spring tries to unwind and so pushes the gear. Even better, ask the child to open such a toy and look at the cleverness of the designer. Feynman further says the textbook is not teaching anything. It is just asking the child to remember the word energy, in other words, rote learning. Moral: teach an idea. Do not just dump a definition in brains. This is what Feynman has to say. Feynman extrapolates the story. His father would have said, the toy dog moves because the sun is shining. Richard asks him, no, how can it be? What is the sun shining to do anything for the toy moving? His dad explains, and why, my friend, are you able to wind up the spring? Richard says, because I eat. His dad asks him, what do you eat? Richard says, I eat plants. His dad asks him, and how do they grow? Richard says, they grow because the sun is shining. Richard says, what about gasoline? Dad says, it is the same. Accumulated energy from the sun is captured by plants all through their lives. The point here is not about accuracy. He is talking about the importance of debate and discussion. It is necessary for us to learn to both accept and reject what is being put forth. For instance, there are some kinds of motion which are independent of sunlight. The Earth's rotation, nuclear reactions, etc. are all independent of sun's energy. Thus, we see that Feynman actually foresaw the disaster happening in science teaching. The message from this genius is that we need to feel science rather than memorizing.